Good evening, everyone. It's Friday. It's rolled around once again. Here we all are. It's, and I just need to turn this off. There we go. Right. Yes, here it is. I always forget to turn off the audio that way because there's like a bit of a lag, and I end up hearing myself speaking about 10 seconds ago if I don't do that. Here we all are. In Redcar, the sun is shining. It has been a funny old day. Never has it been true that that saying of 4 seasons in a day. My missus was up on the market selling a handmade jewellery earlier on today, and we must have got in about half an hour. We must have got about a week's worth of rain, and it washed the whole thing out. So she had to abandon that. And now bright sunshine out there. Hope everyone's doing well. Excuse me. First of the week, this one. When I say first of the week, I'm assuming that the week starts on a Friday. It's raining. Excuse me. It's raining where Paul Trainer is, apparently. Let's do the customary thing, which is to scroll right the way back up to the top of the chat and see who was in first. It was Bridget Pollock saying good morning. And then we've got Michael Palmer, who thought he was first among equals, but apparently not. Then we've got Stratboy and Johnny Random, and there's Grandpa Joe in there, and Edwin Toonan. Chip Young's there, so is Robster Boy and Dr. Gomez. Gordo Canuck is in, and so is Muskie. Early in today, Muskie. Robert Z or Robert Z. You must correct me if I'm getting that the wrong way around. Then who else we got? Scrolling down, we've got Anton and Sean House and David Evans. I'm sorry to hear that, David. David's had a bereavement. Yes, it's just one of those things, isn't it? It never gets any easier. Then we've got Jim Cotter and Marvellous Bloke, and Paul Trainer is in, and so is Ian Clark, and also got JP Morrison, Thomas Mulvaney, Cal B, the Rock and the Rocco Cat. Then scrolling down, we've got Nigel Arthur and Lawrence Hastings, and then coming down, we got Deco Dude. And have I said Brad Matthews? If I haven't, I just have. Then we got Russell Gibson and Big P Morrison is saying, thinking of pulling the trigger on an Epiphone Les Paul Classic Heritage. Any thoughts? Not played that one, but I have played the Epiphone Les Paul Classic Worn, and that was a lovely little guitar. Then Peter S is in, and so is Colin Falcon and Rexamatic, all the way from Arizona. Jason Carter's there. Guten Tag from Stuttgart, Germany. Who else we got? We got Michael Purcell and Steve Lamb, John Channing, Dan Bernstein. Nice to see you, Dan. Haven't seen you in a while. Then there's Savvy64 and Ron Wells and Simon M. There's Dave Pegg and John Mack and Malcolm Spillett. Chris Tiger 66 or Christ Tiger 66, I beg your pardon. Pablo Hank, have I said you already? I just have. Bass at Night, Brad Dowell, Graham Campbell, and then I've lost my place in the thread. Glenn John is in, Guitar Man. Jeff Crouch is in. How are you, Jeff? Matthew Stirl and Johnny Love, and I found my place in the chat again. Then there's Peter Nicholson, and who else we got? Scrolling down, Steve Echoes Guitar, Stuart Young, Jason Carter, Jay Aoyong, and that is it. That is the 134 of you currently watching me this lovely Friday evening. It's lovely because it's a Friday evening. It could be bucketing down outside, and it's still a lovely evening because it's Friday, because it's my one night off a week, and I must admit I do look forward to it. What are you saying there, Stuart? John Robson, did you get my message about Don Martin playing the Hallelujah Festival in Hartlepool? I don't think so, mate. I shall have to check my spam folder. I shall have a look. Right. Also, as is customary around about this time in the evening, I tell you what's coming up on the channel in the coming week. As you probably know, if you saw the video yesterday where I was demoing that little Joyo DC15S practice amp, great little piece of kit that. Michael, who's in the chat tonight, he loaned that to me along with his rather nice PRS 408 guitar. So that's what's coming up on Sunday, the full review of that and hear what it sounds like in a mix and all the usual good stuff. Then on Monday, a solo analysis, and let's throw a few teasers out there about that. Think of a classic rock band from the 70s and 80s. Think of a guitarist who you don't tend to think of as being a kind of one of the big sort of 70s guitar heroes, but he pulls off a mean solo whenever the mood takes him. And trying to think of other kind of clues. I'll keep on, but basically it's another 70s classic rock solo. Then on Tuesday, you remember a few weeks ago I did that, 5 pieces of gear that I really would have loved to have owned. Well, this is the counterbalance to that. This is going to be 5 pieces of gear that I have owned and regretted. Buyer's remorse. Guitars and pieces of equipment that I got suckered into buying and really wanted and then bought them, and it was just like, oh, yeah, this was a mistake. So you'll find out what those were on Tuesday. On Wednesday, following on the series on viewers' questions and comments, I've had a couple of requests on this topic, actually. Please show us how to adjust a truss rod correctly on a guitar. I often say when I'm unboxing and I kind of get it out the box, all the speeded up footage and all that, and I say, okay, well, straight out the box it was yada yada yada, but I've had to adjust the truss rod or whatever. I'm basically going to show you how I adjust the truss rod, what you're looking for, what is the correct way of doing it, what is it that you're looking for to see if it needs doing or not, and how much to do. So that is Wednesday's video. And then on Thursday, it's an unboxing. You may recall a few weeks ago on the live stream, I showed you that Headless guitar that I just got in and just finished filming the unboxing video. Well, this is how far in advance I do these videos, because that is the video that's coming up this Thursday, the GW2 Headless guitar, the one that everybody is really in raptures about, and you'll find out exactly what I think of it in a first impressions review and unboxing on Thursday. So that's what's coming up on the channel this week, chaps. And after that, we are on the beer again, I guess. Let's have a look and see what's been going on in the chat. Michael Broadhead's in, saying hi from the Czech Republic. And who else we got? See Daryl Braun this week about presumably about the buyer's remorse. No, not Alex Leifson. Not Alex Leifson. Here's a clue. Here's a clue. There are 2 70s bands with guitar, very, very different styles. Both kind of cross over into the 80s. One is kind of a, how would you call them? Sort of an album-orientated rock band, and the other is kind of a new wave punk band. And the thing they have in common is that the guitarist in both bands has the same name. Who might I be talking about? What name am I referring to there? Anyway, that's the guitarist we're looking at, and Oh, Paul Trainor's got to see Steve Hackett. Beg your pardon. I'll start that again. Steve Hackett tomorrow at the Liverpool Philharmonic. Not Dave Hill. No, not Dave Hill. Not Knopfler. Not Elliot Easton. And no. I'm just seeing if anybody's got it. No, it was a bit of a cryptic clue. I am, of course, talking about... Oh, hello, Mike. I see CGS is in. How are you, mate? Yeah, the Monday's solo is by Mick Jones. Not Mick Jones from The Clash. I'm talking about Mick Jones from Foreigner. We're looking at the solo from Cold as Ice, which is a fantastic little solo. And you don't think of that solo as having much jazz in it, but it does. It uses a particular jazz technique. Deco Dude is saying how to adjust a tilt neck. If you mean like the like on some Fenders, they have that kind of little grub screw in the neck plate. That is just there to save you having to shim the neck if you need to, if the neck needs a shim. Basically, if your action is too high, even with the bridge saddles all the way down, or the bridge all the way down, kind of from say the 12th fret upwards, or roughly where the neck meets the body. Probably higher than 12th fret, so that sort of region, the upper frets. If your action is too high, then your neck possibly needs a shim. And what you do on Fender guitars or any kind of guitar that's got a bolt on neck is you remove the neck and you stick a bit of business card or something like that into the neck pocket. Well, that sort of neck tilt thing, all that means is that you don't have to do that. You slacken the bolts off and you can turn the grub screw, and that has the same effect of tilting the neck up a little bit in the same way as a neck shim. I was always, for me, if a neck needs shimming, it means that the neck pocket hasn't been cut correctly. So the fact that some Fender guitars have that kind of like pre-installed shimming method already built into it, to me, they're not exactly displaying a lot of confidence in the fit of the guitars, really. But it was just a thing that came out in the 70s. Some people liked it, and so Fender do. I don't know if it's on the current American ones. It wasn't on my Mexican Strat that I had last year, but it was on Bottleneck Bob's USA Strat that we did a comparison with. Simon M is saying, John, I just bought a looper pedal. After 30 years, I now realise I can't strum in time. Any tips? Well, funny you should mention that, but I have just today actually finished doing editing together a video that's going to be in the viewers' questions Wednesday kind of slot towards the back end of this month on how to use a looper pedal. What's the right way to correctly sync your looper pedal to synchronize everything so that you don't get those kind of timing discrepancies that those new to using a looper often suffer from. So we're going to be looking at that in the near future. If it's your strumming that's the problem, then go back and check out any of my Rhythm Wednesday posts where I was talking about kind of 8th note strumming and 16th note strumming. It's all up there on YouTube. If you just kind of go back to DME, let me have a look. I've got them all archived up here, so I can quickly tell you when all that sort of stuff was. Talk amongst yourselves while I have a look. Yeah, so we're looking at sort of the earlier part of this year, really. According to this, at least, anyway. So if you go back to about May sort of time of this year, then you'll start finding some, the content that was on my channel. Then you'll start finding some advice on strumming and stuff like that. But if you're asking about the looper, there is a video on that coming up shortly. What else we got? Wood changes over time. Even the best fitted neck may end up needing a shim after some time. Good point, mate. Yes. Good point. Well made. And there's another good point well made. Don't mess with your guitar unless you have to and know what you're doing. Yeah. What I would just say there is there's never been a better time to learn to know what you're doing. Buy yourself one of the Harley Benton or Faisley or Glary cheap Telecaster copies and use that as a test bed, use that to learn how to do intonation and truss rod and maybe even fit a new nut, learn how to cut nut slots, that kind of thing. If you ruin it, well, that's just the price of an education. I'm a firm believer that anybody can do what I've done, which is to ask questions, to experiment on a cheap guitar, and to learn from mistakes and get some kind of idea of knowing what you're doing. Which I'm going to start doing a few videos like that, because I would show you a shot of what's over there, because I've now got a workbench in here, but I can't show you that because that would be a spoiler, because there's a guitar on there that I don't want you to see yet. That might just be something I should start doing. Has anyone tried to repair a poly chip on an electric guitar? Worth doing or not? I don't know, mate. It's my advice would be to just kind of accept that your guitar has got a battle scar and it's come by it honestly, and reflect on the fact that many people pay good money, ridiculous amounts of good money, to have those kind of things inflicted on their guitar in the factory. Why will always be a mystery to me, but some people do seem to like that sort of thing. Anyway, excuse me, chaps. More beer needed. Yes, indeed. Let's just try and have a look at the chat. Get ready, everybody, get ready to type the word flake this evening, in case anyone's interested. You can probably see what I'm on. The groceries came from Morrison's this week, which means that I am on one of my favourite beers, which is good old Holston Pills. The number of people I talk to say, I didn't know you could still get Holston Pills, but it's always been available. Maybe you can't find it in other places. What's that, Colin? Random question. Bought an army surplus Bergen. It's a tad whiffy. Try the usual cleaning solutions: white vinegar, bicarb soda, and no luck. Any suggestions? Not really. No, beyond the obvious. Febreze. Whatever. I don't know. I've never had to clean a rucksack like that. So I don't know. I see that you're all typing flake. Yeah, Chris, I've heard that one. There's some stuff called Glue Boost specifically for repairing poly chips. Look it up, not cheap though. I tell you, I've seen using that. Dave's World of Fun stuff. I've seen him do repairs like that. It looks to be something almost like sealing wax that you melt in and then kind of, polish up. Nancy Davis is saying, has anyone who bought a Spark after the hype still like it? I didn't dislike the Spark in terms of its tones. It was a great sounding amp. What I found a bit of a faff around was having to, what I didn't like about it, actually, the main thing was you've got this stereo amp. You know it's in stereo because, when you put headphones on and listen to music through it, you're hearing stereo. They built a beautiful sounding stereo amp with mono effects. And just at some point, I'm sure there'll be a Spark 4.0 or 5.0 or something where everything that you were told was going to work on the original one will actually work. The tones on the Spark were fantastic, I thought. I just didn't like One or two exceptions. I wasn't keen on the JTM 45 amp model on there, but I just all the kind of smart jam functions and all that kind of stuff. It was pants. It didn't work at all, and I'm surprised that more people haven't pointed that out. To be honest with you, but yeah, I'm sure at some point they'll come out with a version of it that does everything that it claims to do. When they brought out that mini one, that Spark Mini, I thought that was a bit of a missed opportunity, because what they should have done was, rather than just kind of producing a smaller version of the same thing, is produce like a Spark Lite, where it's got all of the great tones in it, but you're ditching all of the kind of bells and whistles that never really worked anyway. And maybe you don't need to hook it up to an Android tablet or a phone or something in order to kind of get proper control over it. That would have been a great thing. If they came out with that, I might buy one, actually. Not to use as my main amp, but just as something to kind of have as a going around the house playing in different rooms kind of thing. Let's have a look. Michael Broadhead is saying, "Hi John, under which circumstances and conditions would you consider playing a live gig? I'm sure you would have a very appreciative audience." It's not something I've given a lot of thought to, because I never really made any kind of big dramatic draw line in the sand. I'm not gigging anymore. It's just the way things have kind of panned out. It's like, suddenly you kind of wake up one morning and you think, I haven't done a gig in years. So it's not like I've got some in principle decision that, like, if I don't have these conditions met, come up with some big Spinal Tap kind of rider, I want all of I want Smarties with all of the green ones taken out, all that sort of stuff. No, it's just if it felt right, basically. The only proviso is that, this is my profession. This is what I do to pay the mortgage. And, if I'm going to be taking time off from stuff that earns me money, I've got to make sure that I'm not out of pocket to do it. So that would be the nearest thing I would say is to a kind of, a condition or a proviso. But, other than that, it would just have to feel right. Oh, James Hunt is saying, new guitar for me, G&L ASAT Tribute in Tobacco Sunburst. Lovely guitar, but quite heavy, at just over 9.5 pounds. Yeah, that is a bit of a boat anchor, isn't it? Ian Clark is saying, do you regret selling the Yamaha THR5? I do a little bit, yeah. I do a little bit, because that was a great sounding amp. I think... I think the Spark had marginally better sounds, but I think I liked the ease of use on the THR, and I think the THR was as a music kind of playback system for playing back music from your computer. I think it was probably arguably a little bit better than the Spark at doing that, but I've got an entirely different setup now. As I'm looking at the desk here, I'm going to be doing like a kind of I hesitate to call it a studio tour type video, but basically kind of a bit of a behind the scenes kind of look at what's going on in here, how things have changed over the years, and things have changed now. Because as I'm looking at the desk now, I'm speaking into a webcam that's on top of me new laptop. Either side of the laptop, there are two sets of monitor speakers, one for this PC and one for that PC that you can see over there. That's the PC I do all my kind of audio and video editing on. So I've got the better set of monitors on that, and it's so I don't really need the THR now for that purpose that I used it for, which was an audio sound system for the second PC that I had. Lawrence Hastings is saying, how's the dog? He's full of himself. He's teething, basically, which means that anybody who's owned a puppy will tell you that a teething dog is a bit of a bitey dog. So we're going through all kinds of chew bone and kind of products like that. But occasionally, the thing he wants to kind of chew on the most is me. Yes, but he's coming along nicely. Let's see what else we got. Chip Young is saying, I'm running my new X MG300 into a Harley Benton tabletop amp on my monitors. Perfect. That works for you, mate. It works for you. I got to tell you that, the best purchase, as we kind of coast, we're in kind of October now, aren't we? As we coast towards the end of the year, we're in October, so all the Christmas stuff's already in the shops, isn't it? But as we get towards the end of the year, I'm going to be doing like a retrospective of it'll probably end up being a top 5 Tuesday episode, where I'm talking about the 5 best bits of gear that I've bought this year, and that little Marshall DSL1 that you can see down there is definitely going to be on that list. I absolutely love that amp. That's another episode. I've got so much great content coming up. One of the reasons I bought that amp was because, as you know, I was using Guitar Rig and bias amp to record guitars with, and I was very happy with the tones I was getting, and it worked, and it was convenient, and it was easy. But I was conscious that there was a contingent of people in the comments section who were always saying, we can't really judge what that guitar sounds like. You're just playing it through software. All we're hearing is the software. I would contest that. But I am going to do a bit of a blind test between, because I've got here this little AB box here, where it can either be an AB box or a Y box. So basically, there's going to be the guitar going into here, then there's going to be a cable coming out and going to the Marshall, then there's going to be another cable coming out and going to the interface, into the other input on the interface, because the mic that's on the Marshall will be going into one input. The DI sound from the guitar will be going into the other input, and I'm going to be doing, kind of side by side, which is the real thing, which is the software modeling, and which is the actual real amp with a microphone in front of it, to see if anybody can tell the difference. That's not one of these kind of challenge kind of things. It's just genuinely, I am interested to see how much of a difference there is, just kind of placed side by side. And if I'll get the amp kind of dialed in how I like it to sound, and then I'm going to do my best to find an amp modeler, possibly one of the ones I've already got, or I might go and kind of try something new to see how close I can get that dialed in, and see which, just because I think it'd be an interesting and fun thing to do. Dave Lewis is saying, yes, I watched the last guitar unboxing video preview you sent me earlier. Well, thank you, mate. Chip Young is saying, what's the status of the next meet and greet? To be honest with you, Chip, I floated the idea, and I got quite a few very enthusiastic responses. But it was like the people who were enthusiastic about it were like proper full-on enthusiastic about it, but there wasn't anything like the same level of response as we had for the first one. So I didn't want it to be a damp squib, so I just thought I'd park the idea. I think there were about 12 of us who met up for the first one, and that was after about 30 people had said, yeah, I'm going to be there. It was actually 12. So I'm thinking, if there's kind of 6 or 7 who say they're going to be there, it could well end up with being just me and the dog, basically. So I thought I'd just kind of shelve the idea, to be honest, because it was, I would rather not do it than have it be like a bit of an anticlimax, really. Let's have a look. Michael Broadhead, is a Peavey Bandit loud enough to cut through the drummer in a garage situation? Plenty loud enough, mate. The last band I was in back in 2009, I was using a Peavey Bandit, and there was the other guitarist in the band who was also the singer. He was playing rhythm guitar and singing, and I was doing all the kind of lead guitar stuff. He was plugged into a Marshall, either a TSL or a DSL. I think it was a TSL, triple super lead. I think a 50-watt TSL. Don't get me, I might be wrong on this, but basically a big box of Marshall valves into a 2B12 cab. And, you know, and there was a band rehearsing in the next room to us, and we were on a break, and the guys from the other room came in and complimented on me on the sound I was getting through the Marshall. I said, well, actually, I'm plugged into the Peavey. So, you know, it didn't go down well with Steve, the other guitarist, like, but so the Peavey Bandit is a cracking little amp. You know, just the two channels with a foot switchable volume boost on each one, and the 3 different modes you can use each channel in. And it's not just about the features, because you can have an amp that's absolutely full of features but sounds like a bumblebee frying bacon in a Force 9 Gale. You know, it can sound horrible despite the features, but the Bandit really does. It was the first solid state amp I'd used in a long time, and it did make me think, dear me, solid state amps have come a long way since I was using a Hughes and Ketten, a PCS 50, if anybody remembers those, or even before that, a Laney Linebacker. But you know, the Peavey Bandit, it's a great little amp, and it's a Peavey, so it's bulletproof. You know, it'll never go wrong, and it's plenty loud enough. Yep. Let's have a look. David K has just ordered a Joan Jett Epiphone Olympic, basic but sounds the nuts, getting right into single pickup guitars. You tried one, John. Do you know, that's another type of guitar I don't think I've ever owned. I briefly had one of those Harley Benton kind of Les Paul Jr. things with a single P90. And it was okay, but it didn't make a big impression on me. It was in here to kind of get reviewed and then sent on to Zoe's place. So I was never tempted to keep it, but it is something that it is a box I need to tick. I saw ages ago Neville Martin of Guitarist magazine fame demoing some kind of, might have been a Les Paul Jr. And just by, you know, the interaction of the volume and tone control on it, you know, he was getting all kinds of sounds out of it, like something that was almost like a piezo electroacoustic tone, and then just a couple of turns of a couple of knobs, and bang, he's got this full throttle, you know, kind of rock lead tone, and all points in between. So yeah, it is something I should do. Maybe you know, kind of do a video on it. Maybe just get a decent example of a guitar of that nature, and then, you know, do that kind of video on just showing how versatile a guitar like that can be. That's food for thought. Speaking of single pickup guitars, did anyone see last week's Guitaristas where he took that bullet Strat and put a P90 into it? And because he famously hates Stratocasters, Colin, at Guitaristas, but you know, he was well chuffed with himself. Made a good job of it as well. So maybe that might be the way to go. Do something like that. Because as I said, I've got a workbench. Then I could spin a few videos out of doing the conversion, that kind of thing. Dave Lewis is saying, guys, it's Bandcamp Friday today for 24 hours. all the money you spend on music goes directly to the artist. Well, I think I've still got some stuff up on Bandcamp from years ago, so go and fill your boots. Craig Stamen is saying, I'd never played a Headless guitar until this week, and as soon as I played the Strandberg, I had to have it. I will say that the Endure neck did take a bit of getting used to, but now I love it. Yeah, well, coming from the more budget-conscious end of the spectrum, Craig, there is like I've got the ERT GW2 coming up on the channel this week, as I mentioned earlier, which is essentially a Strandberg copy. And it's a confusing guitar, that one. It really is. It's kind of, I genuinely could not make up my mind whether I loved it or hated it. And you'll find out why in Thursday's video. But yeah, the reason I can't show you what's over there at the moment is because it's all to do with that. Not because I kept it, but there's something else over there that's kind of connected to that whole Headless sort of thing. Let's see this. I do beg your pardon. I clicked on the wrong thing there. The screen moved. I just saw someone was saying. Yeah, Ian Clark is saying, including some dodgy photos on John's Bandcamp. Yes, back when I had hair, that's how long that stuff's been up there. Jason King is saying, John, curry or kebabs, which is best? Well, this weekend, I can conduct a scientific experiment because we're having both this weekend. Friday night has become kebab night in the Robson household. Great little kebab shop near us called Marco's. So that is who we will be dining with this evening. And then I believe someone told me that it's National Curry Week this week. So Sunday evening, it's going to be Bengal Spice. We haven't been there in a while. And yes, looking forward to that. Someone was saying, what were they saying? I can't remember. I saw a comment and I went to click on it, clicked on the wrong one. Oh, there we go. Anton, that's the one. Any thoughts on Bernie guitars? Well, they are highly regarded, aren't they, as, kind of Les Paul replicas. One of my favourite Les Paul tones, actually. For me, one of the kind of benchmarks of this is what a Les Paul should sound like is the Andy Latimer guitar tone on the title track of Camel's The Snow Goose. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of music, and it's just quintessential warm, but still transparent, unmistakably Les Paul, but not that kind of cliched idea of a Les Paul where it's all kind of thick and everything turned up to 11 and, kind of all of that. It's still got, you can still hear the woodiness in the tone. On that. Go and check it out if you're not familiar with the Snow Goose by Camel. Anyway, turns out after years of hearing that and thinking that's a fantastic Les Paul sound, that was actually played on a Bernie Les Paul copy. So there you go. Let's have a look. See what else we got. Michael Broadhead is saying, is it true that the telly is difficult to play? Some people call it the lie detector. Oh, dear. I wouldn't say it's difficult to play. You just play a Telecaster in a different way. For me, a string-through Telecaster, especially, always has a very kind of tightly strung feel to it. It's a guitar that you've got to dig in and play hard, which, and when you do, it rewards you with a big, big tone. It's just, you look at it and you think, okay, bolt on neck, single coil pickups, kind of usually low output single coil pickups. This is going to sound thin and feeble and it's going to have no balls to it. But if you dig in and play it hard, it really rewards you. So you kind of learn to play it in that way. and the tone is amazing. I think it's one of my favorite. The bridge pickup on the Telecaster is one of my all-time favorite guitar tones, and it always will be. There might be a top 5 video in that at some point. Top 5 Telecaster bridge pickup tones. Anyway, but if it's set up right, it won't be any more difficult to play than any other guitar. You know, it's just that, and if you don't like the sort of tightly strung feel of it, then, you know, go down a gauge in strings. It's just I must admit, I do like a guitar that especially a Telecaster style guitar that has a bit of fight back to it, where it can't. It's saying to you, "Come on, then play me," you know. But at the same time, I love guitars like, well, you know, we haven't done this yet, have we? Like this one, that is, you know, kind of smooth and buttery and, you know, and effortless to play. And you know, so it's just, I suppose it's a little bit like, you know, what's your favorite food? Well, it depends on the day, doesn't it? It's Friday, so my favorite food is a kebab. But a Telecaster doesn't necessarily have to be difficult to play. It just feels like a Telecaster, and some people like that, and I don't. Let's have a look. See what else we got. This is news to me. Looking forward to Chris Buck's band Cardinal Black's new album release at the end of the month. What a great guitarist he is. That is hard to disagree with. And Jason Carter is saying, top load of Telecasters have been played by some big names. Jimmy Page used one back in the day. Yeah. I mean, I've done a few sort of comparisons of, back in the days when I still had hair, and the Frankenstein Telecaster that you can see back there. That's coming up in a video very soon, by the way. A bit of a starring role. You know, basically done videos where I've kind of converted a top loader Telecaster into a string through Telecaster. Does it affect the tone? Possibly. You know, it's without measuring it on an oscilloscope. There's a perception that it affects the tone, but it's, you know, it's certainly nothing that you couldn't. It's not a change that you couldn't make by, you know, changing a couple of settings on your amp. For me, the biggest difference between a top loader and string through is that the string through has that sort of tighter, tauter feel for whatever reason. And as I say, that invites you to kind of play with a bit more oomph, and possibly that's what brings out the difference in the tone. Let's have a look, see what else we got. James Falconer is saying, what's your favourite riff? Oh, talk about putting me on the spot. My favourite riff. Okay, yeah, I would have to say, if just the one that immediately popped into my head as soon as you said that. You know, I was thinking, well, there's that one, and maybe about this, and I'm trying to think of a few different ones. But the one that immediately popped into my head, so I guess that's going to be the honest answer, would be Layla. So, dealing me, that's going down rather well this evening. Time Prophet is saying, have you ever wanted to have a go at building your own guitar? I sort of have. I have built my own guitars in the past, in the sense that, you know, parts casters. You know, but that's just assembling a kit, really, isn't it? That's like saying that, you know, the TV that I built the TV cabinet that's downstairs because I screwed it all together, which it came flat pack. So in that sense, I have built a couple of guitars. But I know what you're saying, kind of building one from scratch, starting off with raw lumps of wood and ending up with a guitar. It is something I would love to do. If I had the money, I would love to go on one of these guitar building courses at Crimson Guitars. But, I would want to go for like not just a 2-day one or something like that. I don't know how long they are, but I'd want to go for like at least a week. And that would mean taking a week off work. It would mean telling the wife, sorry, darling, we can't have a holiday this year. I'm having a holiday to go and build a guitar. So it wouldn't go down too well, I think. But, at some point, yes, I would love to have a go at building a guitar. Just to, Dan from Scott Guitars, he must know this. There must be some sense of immense satisfaction from sitting down and kind of noodling away and playing your favourite licks on a guitar that you remember when that guitar was just some planks of wood in a workshop. That must be such a great feeling. So yes, I would love to have a go. Let's have a look. Nancy Davis is asking, what's the best pub you've been in? Best pub I've ever been in. My favourite pub, I'll tell you what my favourite pub is. It's a pub called the Golden Rule, and it's in a little market town in the Lake District called Ambleside, where I used to live in that neck of the woods many, many, many years ago. And me and the wife still go on holiday there every now and again. And they serve an absolutely gorgeous pint of Hartley's Best Bitter. And it's your typical kind of pub that's like a hub of the community. I always think in my mind, there's always a roaring log fire and kind of comfy chairs, and there's a game of dominoes happening somewhere, and it's it's just a great atmosphere and great beer, and the natives are friendly. So that's I would say probably the Golden Rule in Ambleside. Jason Carter saying, I can't remember most of the pubs I've been in. Yeah, there is that, isn't it? Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Have you been watching the videos Ben's been doing where he's been kind of taking apart various interesting guitars? That Peavey, was it T60, was a particularly interesting video. Gordo Canuck was saying that was a beer guzzle to be proud of. Takes a lot of hard practice to perfect it. It will not be the final one of the evening, let me assure you. I've just realised we are, I'm back in focus again. We are 48 minutes and 20 odd seconds into the stream, and I've only had 2 beers. I always bring at least 3 up with me. So I better get another one on the go before we wrap up. So everybody get ready with the F, the L, the A, the K, and the E. How flaky! Oh, this one's not a bad one. This one, it will be a flaky one, I'm afraid. There we go. Flake, everyone. And will I get it into the last drop without spilling? I'm gonna manage it as long as I don't move. Cheers. Oh, I love Fridays. Yeah, Guitaristas is a great channel. I just like the laid-back attitude of the guy. Yeah, he's just like he's your mate, isn't he? He's the bloke that you would you'd go for a beer with Colin from Guitaristas. Colin Falcon is saying, have you ever heard Guthrie Trap? There's an awesome, two actually between him and Tom Bukovac on Brett Pabber's channel. I've seen a few Guthrie Trap things, but I can't. I'd be lying if I said I was, an aficionado of his work, let's say. That's another video that's going to be coming up soon, which is, around about the autumn of every year. I always kind of update you on my 5 favourite YouTube channels. I started making that video this week, but it sort of went a little bit off in a different direction and ended up becoming a video about something else, which you'll find out what that is in a few weeks' time. As I say, this week I've been working on videos that will be going out. Let me just have a look here on this other machine. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, I see Johnny Budget Guitar Show's got a new video out. Let's have a look. Just waiting for it to catch up. So this week I have been working on videos for week commencing October the 17th. And as of tomorrow, I shall be working on videos for the week commencing October the 24th. So that's how far in advance I'm working on videos. Dave Lewis is saying, is it the pub on the cover of CSI Ambleside by Half Man, Half Biscuit? I'm not familiar with the album. Let me have a look. CSI Ambleside. Let's album by Half Man, Half Biscuit. Let's have a look at the images. No, mate, that is the Royal Oak in Ambleside, and there's the restaurant next to it that I've been in many a time called the Priest Hall. That white building on that album cover, because everybody's probably Googling it now as well. That is a pub called the Royal Oak, and that, when I was a student in that part of the world many years ago, was the only place where you could buy Newcastle Brown Ale. So I used to drink in there quite a lot as well. Time Prophet says, I also make videos. My last one was 37 minutes. People don't realise how much work goes into them. I mean, I'm still learning me craft as a video maker, I suppose. You never stop learning. I look back at some of my earlier videos from like 5-6 years ago, and I think, I could have done that better. And if there's one thing that I've learned in the intervening years, it's try and keep everything as best you can under 20 minutes. Because I know myself. There's some great YouTubers, and I just think, I'd love to see what he's up to, but I don't have 45 minutes or 50 minutes or an hour to kind of sit down and give that and devote that time to one particular video. So I like to try and keep everything as not brief as possible, but I do like to sort of try and keep it, as I say, 15, 20 minutes. 10 minutes is good. 15 minutes is okay. Anything over 20 minutes, and I always start thinking, well, there's got to be a way I could have got the points across and told the story in less time. And sometimes I will just I'll finish a video and think, do you know, that's too long. I'm going to have to either edit this video down, where you'll sometimes see me videos where I'm talking like this and then suddenly I'm over there, and where those kind of quick cuts where there's obviously an edit, but often I'll just start again and try and make a shorter video that says the same thing. I mean, that Guitarist is a case in point. Colin only puts one video out a week, and it happens to be on a Friday. So while my missus is watching all of the soaps on TV, I'll often just kind of put my headphones on and watch Colin's video. So that's I can kind of do that with that, because as I say, it comes out on a Friday. But I do like to try and keep it nice and brief. Let's have a look, see what else we got. Exactly, yeah. Craig Stamen is saying, Dave Simpson, I like his channel, but wish the videos were a bit shorter. Yeah, that would be my thoughts as well. But then again, Dave has a lot more subscribers than me, so it's like, he's obviously doing something right that I'm not. But it's just, everybody likes to work in their own way. I'm just finding the way that seems to work for me. And I've noticed since I've started truncating everything and making it a little bit briefer and trying to get to the point quicker, I seem to be doing better out of YouTube, is all I'm saying. Let's have a look. See what else we got before we start wrapping up. Yeah, James Hunt is saying, I like guitarists' videos, but I always forward a fair bit of it. I might be guilty of that myself. David Evans is saying, what string gauge do you have on your acoustic? I have 10 to 47 on mine. Really nice, easy to play lead lines on. It's because I don't play the acoustic very often. I don't need to restring it very often. It is about due for a new set now, though, and I think I just buy anything with it possibly 10 to 46 or 47. A set of the lightest gauge set of acoustic strings I can usually find, and you don't get many kind of acoustic strings less than 10 gauge. That's another thing I will be shopping for at some point. I'm probably going to be getting myself a new bass, because that old Stag bass there that cost me out 60 quid on eBay, gosh, like a million years ago, whenever it was I bought it. Because I'm doing a lot more recording now, just for music, for videos and stuff, I'm thinking maybe I should invest in a new bass. And the Harley Benton acoustic back there, I'm thinking maybe, basically one of my students has got another Harley Benton acoustic, and it sounds absolutely fantastic, much better than that one. So I'm thinking maybe I should get one of those, So it's I can't remember what the model is, but I'll have to ask her and see which one she got, because she brings it to the lesson and it sounds absolutely incredible. And that one sounds okay, passable, but yeah. So we shall see. That might be another series of another couple of videos that are coming up very soon. Let's see what else we've been talking about. Have you, Time Prophet's asking me if I've ever tried faking a bass with a guitar and an amp sim. No, but I have sort of done the back in the 90s when we were all recording to tape on our little Fostex or Tascam 4-track recorders. You could do the dodge of recording your guitar part at twice the speed, and or recording a bass part at twice the speed, twice the tempo, and then playing it back at the normal tempo, and it would drop by an octave. And I recorded one or two bass lines on songs by doing it that way, and just slathering it with a load of compression to kind of even it all out and kind of getting away with it. Or so I thought at the time. I cringe to think what it would sound like if I listened to it now. Anyway, chaps, we are 59 minutes in, and I've got a kebab turning up very, very soon. So I'm going to swig off the rest of this beer. And thank you very much, YouTube user. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Anyway, I'm going to go sit downstairs and wait for the kebab, because if it turns up while the wife's in her pajamas, she won't want to answer the door. And thank you once again, each and every one of you, for turning up and watching a fat bald bloke talk absolute rubbish for an hour on a Friday night. I'll keep on doing it till you sick of me, but for now, time, gentlemen, please.